guy around.
What are you cutting out, Patrick? What's all those bees?
All the bees, right? Just really love the letter B. No, so these are, we'll have Emily go through. She's doing a parametric build using poly. So Emily, actually, we'll give folks a know. They're lips. It's going to be parametric lips.
Oh,
yeah. Here, I'll do a screen share.
Oh yeah, I have it right here too.
Oh yeah, go stand in front of the camera here.
Oh.
Check that out. Gonna be cool, huh?
Lips.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But with some foam.
Yeah. So I don't know where we're gonna put them. I don't know if you're gonna keep them at your house or what, but we're doing a dip in latex paint. And so it's going to have this like nice Rocky Horror Picture Show in parametric form vibe to it. Should be cool. Okay, we've got, who else do we have on here? This is Mr. Wynn. Is that right? Am I saying that right? Apologies.
Yes,
Okay.
That's right.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Newbie. I just bought a maker and I already make the frame.
Okay.
Tonight after work I will start adjust how you call it, you go to the computer step. The frame I hang the machine everything already.
Okay.
So I just join in to see what you doing. I spy look at what you guys do, and then later on I will guest star maybe this week.
Great. Yeah. Awesome. Any trouble so far?
Up till now, no, because I not start yet. Just the frame, everything. Get it. Waiting for you guys for more. Share and feedback on the Facebook and on the group, and I try to learn.
Okay.
I'm in Florida, but basically I'm Vietnamese, so my English is not very good, so I have to maybe go a trip have to look at you guys.
Yeah, well, your English is a lot better than our Vietnamese, so.
Yeah, have you ever been there?
I have not. I've always wanted to go. I've been to China several times, been to Japan, been to Korea, never been to Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
Matt over there has.
COVID.
This is amazing. What's that? We're talking to somebody from Vietnam.
Oh, I love Vietnam. I spent Vietnam twice. Once for a month and then once for like 2 weeks.
Right there.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Dung Nguyen, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
What part of
Yep.
Vietnam are you from?
And no, I'm in South. I'm in Ho Chi Minh City.
Aha, I love Ho Chi Minh City.
Saigon.
Saigon.
Yeah. But right now
love
I'm in. Yeah, right now I'm in Florida.
Aha.
At this moment, yeah.
I spent a Christmas in Saigon once. It was amazing.
Oh, Saigon.
Yeah. Yeah, it was super
Obviously,
fun.
you have some friend relative over there.
I have some a lot of friends from my childhood that are from Vietnam.
Oh.
I'm from Mobile, Alabama, and that's near Bayou La Battery, and that's like very similar to like a Nha Trang, like a lot of fishing, a lot of shrimping, a lot of that. So like when a lot of Vietnamese folks came over in the 70s and 80s, they came to my part of the country. So I love that. Absolutely love Vietnam.
Okay. So if I have some problem, can I speak Vietnamese with you?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, no. I can say come on, and that's about it.
Come on. Yeah, thank you. All right, nice to meet you.
Sounds like if you have any trouble though, we're gonna have to take a trip out there and just help you get set up, right? That's the customer service we're here for. You live in Vietnam, Hawaii. All right, so we got Tom on. What's up, Tom?
Hey, what's happening? Sorry, I just got my daughter home from school. I'm trying to make her a sandwich while I'm listening. to you
Oh,
guys.
cool. No worries. Yeah, just listen in and we'll just be doing our thing. We got Dustin on.
Good
What's up,
morning.
Dustin? Morning. How's it going?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Yeah, can't complain. So for those of you all who didn't hear, all the B's are actually parametric lips. So that's what we're working on. Right. Oh, Emily's coming back showing us what's up. It's gonna be sweet. There you go. It's gonna be pretty awesome. So trying it in the foam because so all of this is the first foam project I've actually done so far. So we use the straight cut bit, which worked like a charm on this. Obviously, like we talked about before, straight cut bits reduce friction, which reduces heat, which prevents any kind of resin from melting. So you always want to use a straight cut bit. But all of this is, I don't know what they rate it at in the store, but it was 0.61 inches. So we were able to clear the 0.61 plus, oh man, another 0.05 inches into the wasteboard in one pass. All of this is done one pass. So I don't know, Emily, what do you think? Total, an hour and 15 minutes, probably thereabouts. So we'll definitely share the project when it's done. But let me grab the one we're working on right now. So you can see kind of the concept. So you saw the parametric lips, and then these